Good morning.
Are we? Oh, there we go. Okay.
There you are.
Morning.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Tell me something good. Bold related or not, doesn't matter. What's happened in the last week? Give me some good.
I had a great few days off over the holiday weekend, so it was amazing just to kind of love where you live type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
real easy to get swept up and not take any time to just, exist, right?
exactly.
I like it.
Exactly.
Very, very cool. Um, so let me get some feedback from you at this point. Where are we, what's happened in the last week? Have we had any new activity, any new concerns? Like, give me some feedback on how things are going on your end, and then I'll jump into some stuff.
Well, I think we kind of had a lot of people out. I mean, it was kind of dead around here just with the holiday weekend. I know I
Okay.
was out the afternoon and Friday.
I was out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Minneapolis meeting with different leadership.
Okay.
So I was kind of checked out as well last week.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't have a good feel of any of that, but we should get back on, obviously get focused here this week and have a better answer for you honestly next week. But personally, I feel like in my head at least, okay, now we're really starting to push. Kind of it was honestly I've been through I don't know how many bowls, and this just timing wise or whatever, it just seems like there's been so much with all the NARs, and I'm not trying to make excuses, it just are. So now it's like, okay, getting past that. Matter of fact, we talked at the team meeting this morning, said, guys, all this noise that's been out there, okay, time to put that away and time to get focused, time to be bold, time to get into bold. It's a great opportunity, so we had that discussion this morning. Now we just need to start getting with our people and getting them signed up. So, and not just our
Okay.
people, obviously out there. So
Yeah. Yep, and we're getting it. You can see in the back table, there's a bunch of purple stuff. Katie's got
Okay.
her boldifying the market center, and so I think still the challenge we have is we have like 30 people in this office out of 130. And
Yeah.
so there's just, we try to, how do you get this energy across Zoom? I feel for me, that's the challenge.
No, that's actually really good feedback. So, I mean, one thing I can tell you, just as somebody who spends a lot of time on Zoom, um, you're you, this might sound weird. You're doing it right if you feel ridiculous. Because the challenge is that not all of the energy does transfer over Zoom. So like if you're starting to feel like you're presenting over the top, you're probably doing it right. I mean, I coach agents the same way on just even phone calls, right? Like, well, I'm not getting great results. Like, okay, well, what is your energy like on the phone? Because it should be a little insane because they can't see you, right? You have to overdo the things that in person you would never do, right? So, and the people who are in your office, if you're overdoing it, that's okay too, because they could use an injection of energy, right? So, you know, that's all fair. I guess, well, I have one question. First off, Don, you had shared kind of how great the results were 2 years ago when you guys had Bold. Did you pull together any actual stats around that you could start changing the narrative with?
I haven't yet. That's on my list for this week, is to just go in and just see what we can pull for reports. Even,
Okay.
your trends, but even, I know we have some agents that specifically have said it. So even going in and looking at just some individuals.
Yeah, I think if you could find a few standout individuals and maybe ask them to do some sort of testimonial or something like that, I think that would be helpful. I also think, though, if you can pull together like an overall, like whatever year over, whatever really stood out, like you don't need to tell the crappy parts of the story, just pull the good ones out. I do
Right.
think it'll really help you because at a certain point, like it's just hard to argue with opportunity. And I think where we're at right now is I don't think they're seeing it. It has it has been an insane few months in this industry. And And I think that we, not like you guys or me per se, like we've made it worse as an industry because we have gone full tilt obsession with it. And so, and then add to that the fact that the market is changing. It's going into what I'm assuming is a slower time of the year for you. Like there's a whole lot of bleh. And we've got to create the energy and just not take no for an answer. You know, I wanna ask you guys a question, and I want you to understand that like all I ever want to do is help, right? Like that. Otherwise, why would I bother doing any of this, right? I'll just go sell more houses. I feel like we've had a slow start. There's no judgment in that. I'm not like there's just we've had a slow start. So I guess my question to you is how bought in are you guys? Like, do you fully believe that you can hit the goal that you've set out? Like, and not like the cute, like, I'm just going to tell them I believe. Like, do you really believe it? Because if not, I want to know and I want to have some conversations around it, right? So, how do you guys feel?
So for me, I would say, I believe we can, because I was a little skeptical last time, just because we are a smaller market, and the numbers we needed to
Right.
hit, and we just blew the doors off of our goal. And so, you know, I know we have smaller numbers this time, and yet I want to believe that I can encourage people to make the decision that this is a decision they need to do, because I believe in Bold so much. So for me, I believe we can hit our goal of having 40 agents attend Full Bold.
Okay, well, that's a much lower, that's a lot lower than the goal that we've discussed up until
So-
now. Just,
that-
and again, no judgment in any of this. I hope you hear that. Yeah.
Yes, so am I a little bit skeptical on getting the 70 to first step? Probably. But I'm not skeptical on, can we get enough in the room so that we can have Bold and it'll be a great experience?
So just as a point of clarity, because I don't want you guys to bust your you-know-whats and then be like, wait, what happened? If you read the fine print on that agreement, I just want you to understand, it must be 40 full price registrations or 50 with a mix. So in other words, like I know there's 5 leadership who are registered.
Yeah.
That doesn't count towards the 40, if that makes sense, because they're discount. I just want to make sure you guys knew that. Again, I'm not like yeah. Okay, so you believe in the at least 40 agents. Remind me 2 years ago, what was your number though? How many were in the Full Bold, not first step?
94.
You had 94 people for Full Bold?
We
Not for
did,
full.
we had 162 agents though at the time, so.
Okay,
We did-
162,
For step.
and you had 94.
And it might have been first.
I thought it was 50. I think it was actually, Hudson, I want to say we were in the 50s for full bolds. I think
50s,
we had
okay, that makes, okay.
something like that for steps.
Okay.
We did.
I wanna-
No,
yeah, I wanna
like
say
in
it
the
was like 70 or
70.
something
Was it that many?
for full bowl.
Yeah, for Full Bold,
I thought it was too. I thought that's what you told me. Okay, so
It was
160
70.
people.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your roster count today? I know I've asked before, I apologize.
121.
121, of that 26 of those are in Wyoming, so they wouldn't.
Well, that was you still had people in Wyoming 2 years ago though, right?
We did, but they
Yeah.
did, and some of them did come over.
We had
though,
2 that came over.
2 that came over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're still, even though we know that it's a stretch, like we're still inviting those people just like we'd invite anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And earlier somebody else was going to say something and I squirreled. So back to the kind of like, do we believe in the goal or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I know we
Okay.
can get to the number that we need to get to, you know, whether that's 40. I mean, I think in my head, realistically, we're probably gonna be 50-ish.
Okay.
I don't expect 70, 80 this year, just, I'm kind of a realist that way, but I will shoot for and go for, especially first step, bringing more than that. I'm gonna lean heavy to some degree on the part of the market out there besides just our own people, just because they don't get this, they don't see this. So really working outside our office, I think is gonna be important this time around.
Mhm.
Oh, I think it's vital. it's recruiting season, guys. Like it's literally, these changes are causing people like, it's a huge opportunity, and I really do want you guys to maximize on it. Like, so, and I just sent out a few minutes ago, so you might not have seen. I sent you 2 different videos that don't say anything about Keller Williams. So if you want to use that to send out to recruits, I mean, obviously you're going to have to build some context around it, not just send a random video. And yet it just talks about Bold and the opportunity, and it doesn't say anything about Keller Williams. It doesn't say anything about maps either. So it's very brand agnostic, and you know, we've seen some really amazing success in some bolds where we had a ton of non-KW people there. And it usually came from you guys creating this buzz around the fact that you've got a national speaker coming. And I don't mean to fluff myself up, it sounds important, right? And I am national, I go all over the place, right? They don't even know the details, right? Like keeping it very like, we've got this huge opportunity, it's a growth opportunity, you know, kind of giving them enough to be interested and still keeping it vague. So just keep in mind, like you guys are in a position to crush it with recruits, because I'm making an assumption, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you are a smaller market. I'm going to assume that, forget just KW, there's probably not just a lot of big events in your area that are real estate related. Am I on the right track?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah. So I really want you to do that, or maximize on that. And then, you know, I got to tell you, I hear you about the fact that, you know, there's only so many people right in your office and that everybody else is kind of spread out. And this is where, you know, if we're going to hit the goal of making the bold happen, and frankly, like I really, here's where I want you guys, everybody's wired a little differently, right? Like I'm the type of person, I'm cool setting a ridiculous goal, and I'm not gonna scream at myself if I don't hit it. I figure the higher the goal, the better my outcome. And then I know some people, if they have a goal and they don't hit it, it's like an instant depression they go into. So I don't know how you guys are all individually wired. I want you all to be careful though, to not just lock in on the number 50. Because think about it for a second, and you guys have some history with Bold and the impact that it can have on a smaller market center. I mean, what if you did have more than 50% of your agents in that room? Like, what would the next 3 to 6 months look like? Like, really think about it. I want you to hear, like, what more than 50%? Like, so you had 50 plus to 60 to 70 agents in that room just from your office. What would that do for you guys? What would it do for the agents? Like, talk to me.
I think it would help change the whole mindset of the agents that we feel is happening right now, for sure.
Yeah, I think the narrative changed in their head. I mean, again, people have been so focused on this other crap that it's, you know, people aren't even focused at the point. I think also Bold has always created a stickiness within the market center as well, which I think is needed and important. So I'd like to get as many people as we can in the room. It's getting more challenging all the time to get people in the rooms. And so really would like to see that happen.
So this Bold could really change everything for you guys, because what I've seen this in other smaller markets. Like you guys are already so spread out. Then 4 years ago we had COVID, right? And it completely screwed everything up as far as the in-person and people coming into the office. And I think a lot of smaller offices, even though it's so long later, are still kind of attempting to shake that off. If you can just get them there, like it's not just that the energy would be better and the income would be better. It's like everything will get better. And you mentioned the stickiness, and I'm just, you know, so, you know, you're down 41 agents in 2 years, and I'm not here to like rub salt in your wound. I'm just saying, like, this Bold could also help close the back door. And in my experience, somebody who is in Bold is just not a flight risk for at least 6 months, which might not sound that crazy. And yet in 6 months, if their business is also up and the grossness of the market changes have kind of calmed down a bit, like now that 6 months gets extended. So I just want you guys, you know, we have two kind of things happening here, right? We have the fact that we have to get to a certain number or else the Bold doesn't happen, which feels really looming. And I don't want you guys to feel like you're under the pressure of that. I'm going to ask you guys to choose to just live an opportunity for these next 5 weeks. Like, what could you do? Let's pretend that they will come into the room. Let's not believe the BS excuses and I just lost a word. It's so fun having 6 kids. Anyways, let's not give in to their excuses. Okay, so one thing that I want to share with you guys, because I think it's important, and I know I've kind of mentioned it, and yet we had our weekly meeting on Friday, and we had an update from Cody Gibson, who's now running maps. So the Bold in October will be like for real new, not like we moved some slides around new. Gary is the one rewriting it, period. So you have Gary, Cody is involved, and then their course writers, every time that Gary is spending time on it, the course writers are sitting in the room with him so that they can do all of this on the fly, and he can say, no, fix that. Nope, that doesn't translate. Because a lot of times in some of the other adjustments that we've had with the Bold material, the course writers, they're course writers, like they're not coaches. They don't always get it right. So it's truly being rewritten. And I think for people who have experience with Bold, if they've never taken Bold before, that it's new to them anyways, who cares? For people who have taken Bold before, I think they should really, really know that it's not just being adjusted, it's being fully rewritten. Like, we're getting new Bold laws, which actually all the Bold coaches kind of freaked out about. Like, they're only keeping a handful of them. They're changing everything. We're going to have more lead generation time in the room because we actually kind of slacked on that with the last rewrite, and Gary is not happy about that. So he's going to get them more into massive action, since we are in a market time where they're going to have to work harder to earn more money if that's what they desire to do. So I think sharing that message, I think that if you're a Keller Williams agent, you probably think pretty highly of Gary Keller, and you know that the value that he brings. So don't be afraid to share that message that I was told with a very straight face and no ifs, ands, or buts, and go tell the world that it will truly be a rewrite in October. So that's something that I want you guys to have. I had another thought. And again, this is something that you, of course, don't have to do. It's something I want to throw out as an idea. We're coming up on the end of the year. When do you guys start looking at your ALC for the next year?
September, because we have to have them all kind of selected for October, the ALC clinic.
Okay.
So
So here's a thought. So here's a thought for you. And again, this might sound aggressive, and yet standards are good. What if you made it a standard that if they're going to be on the ALC next year, they must participate in this Bold? I think it would be a great way for you to get some people off the fence, because they want to be on ALC. They all feel fancy and pretty and important when they're on the ALC. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I feel like over the years, it used to be that was a standard that an ALC member was going to go to Bold every single year or every time it came or something like that. And I know a lot of market centers slacked on it. It kind of went back on it, which is totally fine. I'm just throwing it out there. For people who aren't, like, we're talking about next year. This is not, hey, you never told me. This is, hey, I'm telling you right now, if you'd like to be considered for ALC, I need you to be registered for the Bold. So just an idea. You don't need to run with it if you don't choose to, and yet it might be a little bit of a lift for you. And then the last thing that I want to share, and then I'll answer any other questions that you guys kind of have. Because you are so spread out, the only way this launch is going to work and you're going to hit a great opportunistic, life-changing, market center changing number is through the one-on-one conversations. And I certainly know that this is not the first time I've brought them up. I totally get it. And it's going to be your only way. So there's 4 people in the room, right? You're all like tiny little ants to me. There's 4 people, right? Are you guys the main 4, or is there anybody else that's on staff?
it's just, yeah, this is it.
It's you 4. Okay, great. So are all of you comfortable having a care conversation with your agents, using those questions to find where their gaps are, and then taking it to Bold? Because if you're not, we're going to struggle. If you are, all you got to do is start chipping away every day and talk to a few people, and you're going to crush it. So how do we feel?
Yeah, I've already started having them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so everybody feels good. I heard 3 of 4, I think. Everybody's good? You understand the conversation? So So what's the plan on that? Do you have a certain number that you're committed to talking to every day? Do you have a certain number every week? Do you have things like, what are you guys doing so that we maximize on that? Because it is, I mean, the team meeting next week is going to be great. I promise we're going to get a ton of people and we won't get 70. So what's the plan around the one-on-one conversations?
Right now, I've just been anybody that, the people that I coach, and some of the agents around here, so it hasn't been anything. It's just been random, which I know isn't the way it should be, but that's what it's been so far. For me.
Yeah, and my focus
Have you
is gonna be
guys, go ahead.
ALC
Yeah.
and, top 20%, because, I think that's, like you said, the expectation used to be, you're part of Bold. I don't think that's necessarily what we've done in the past, but I think our ALC is gonna be important to really get them in Bold. Just because I think top down, people see it, and we're gonna need their help as well to, reach out to some of the people that they're working with outside of KW and really bringing them in as well. So I think that's going to be important.
Anything else from my other two folks in the room?
Katie, she's like probably the most, she's probably the most excited about Bold of anybody she just goes all out and she's, up at the front, so she sees everybody and she, and so for her, it's her big thing is bringing the energy. That's what she's good at. And yeah, having those conversations with anybody that, that she comes in, encounters and stuff, but she's probably the most excited of anybody.
Well, and I've seen that. And so my challenge to the rest of you is be like her in your conversations, even if it's not your natural way. And I get that. Like I think we have no choice other than to create the excitement around it. And look, attitude is contagious, right? So if you guys can just do it, even if it's fake as all get out, I'm not here to judge you. Like it will help other people get excited. And I feel like you just need a couple of big dominoes to fall. Like I know you've got your one agent who is registered for the whole thing. I feel like you need just a couple more top producers, get some videos out of them. And I think you'll notice that things will start accelerating pretty rapidly. What I want to challenge you to do is keep taking the opportunities for the random conversations. Like I think sometimes random is great. We also need a plan as well. So if you haven't already done it, I know we talked about it probably a couple of weeks ago, go into your roster and create, a separate version of it so you don't jack everything up, and yet create a red light, yellow light, green light system. Red is reserved for hard nose only. People who are going to be gone for more than half the classes. People who said, if you bring up Bold one more time, I'm leaving the market center. Like the only way they're going to be red. Yellow is we've had a conversation and we didn't get our yes yet. Or we had a conversation and I got first step only and, I haven't gotten full. Green is they're registered for full. I think if you guys can work that way, and then my suggestion would be, and I don't want to prescribe the number because I think it should come to you. My suggestion is you should all have a commitment of, I'm going to have this many purposeful conversations a day. I don't care if it's 2, 3, 5, 20. I don't care what it is. And yet, if you just all committed, like I'm going to talk to X amount of people every single day, purposefully, like I'm going to pick up the phone or go to their office, not wait for them to come to me, is basically what I mean by that. Because we're going to get some momentum from the office meeting. I think we need to roll into the office meeting with some momentum, though, if that makes sense. We need to have some movement this week because I want you guys to continue to feel good about this. So what do you think? So I'm going to ask for 2 goals, and one is, what do you guys as a group, what is a number that you can commit to having X amount of conversations a day? And then between now and next Tuesday, how many full Bolds do you want to commit to creating? There is no wrong answer. I just want you guys to have a goal so you can have a win.
Well, when you look at the number of people that have said they're going to sign up for Full Step, like with the Kaler team, I know Will and others, is literally get them to sign up. Stop saying you're gonna, here's the sheet, here, let's sit right here, let's pull up the registration page and let's get you registered for Full Step. Because you've said you're gonna, And we need you to commit to that, so other people see that commitment coming from you.
All right,
So
so
I'll-
so give me those. Let's go low hanging fruit. How many do we think we can get registered? What are we committed to by next Tuesday?
And I would
At
say,
least
10. Let's go with
10 full, okay. All right, and then how many a day will you commit to? You could always do more, and yet what is your minimum standard for conversations a day?
1.
I'll have 4.
Let's pick a number that everybody can commit to.
Okay.
I just think it'll be, again, you can always do more. I just think there should be like a group, you know, when we work together, we succeed, right?
2 a day?
2 a day? I'm totally fine with 2 a day. Are you guys all okay with that? Y'all know you can
Yeah.
do it. You can make time for 2 a day. Okay.
What's that?
Maybe you could be an overachiever.
That's right.
Well, yeah, and any of you can. Look, I know that all of your days are crazy, and yet I know that some of them are more crazy than others, right? So if you can have 3 one day or 4 one day, great. And yet I love, you know, this is like anything else. It's like a muscle, right? So if you guys can just be consistent with your 2 a day, I promise you're going to start to see movement this week. And that's what I want. I want to pop on here next week. Well, of course, we've got our meeting as well. And I want there to be so much excitement because of the momentum. All right. Y'all have any other questions? Excuse me, questions for me before I let you go?
Well, I think one of the things Katie and I kind of worked on, she did all the cute stuff of it, but after you met with the ALC, I know one of the ALC agents I stopped and chatted with, and he literally wrote down like 6 names of co-op agents that he thought of when, you know, you talked about
Great.
and so we put together an email that the agents can use. It's like a generic one, just kind of like
I
you
love
said,
it.
it does BW, but it tells a little bit about what Bold is. It shows the link for them to register, but it's an email for our agents to send out to the agents that they really like in the market. So that's something we'll be getting to them this week, I think, especially starting with the ALC because they've met with you, and then starting it from there.
I think that's great. And then you've got those 2 videos as well. If you think either one of them is, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
send both, it's just 2 options. If you think either of those are appropriate to go with, I think that's awesome. So, yeah, because then there's another thing. You start getting these people, if their recruits start to sign up for Bold, they'll now be more pressured to do it anyways, because they're going to have a better opportunity if they're in the room. So I love all that. Anything else?
So,
No? Okay, look, you're going to have 10 more. So we will be at 16 full Bolds by next Tuesday, and then we'll roll in with even more because of the meeting that day. You're all going to have at least 2 purposeful, proactive conversations a day where you don't just vomit Bold, you have a care conversation and then jump into Bold. And then other than that, you guys are just going to crush it in general, and you guys create the energy. I want you to be like on top of the world when we hit step 7 of this Bold because of the changes that you're already witnessing. All right.
Sounds great, Hudson.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Call me this week, text me, email me if you need anything. Don't be afraid to reach out. Okay.
all right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.